actually became a potter directly because I was inspired by reading a book by Muriel Rose about British artist potters, with Attrill and Bernard Leach. I was just so taken with the ethos of it that I, because I've been working as a secretary for many years, I was bored by that. Just on the strength of reading the book, I went on, I suppose it was a pilgrimage down to Sudan, and I visited David Leach's property in Tracy in South Devon en route, and I went to St Ives. I've just kneaded the clay up ready to throw this. So I'm centering it. On the way back I visited Michael Leach, who's Bernard Leach's younger son, who had a pottery at Yelland between Bidford and Barnstable. And really, quite by chance, he was in the showroom.
What sort of clay do you use?
This is a high firing, basically an earthenware based clay, which will be fired to about 1160 degrees centigrade. And I kind of talked my way into getting a job for the following summer, where I was, the idea was that I would work in the showroom in the mornings, and he would teach me in the afternoon. I'm just going to roll the rim. Michael was in fact a very good teacher. He was very exacting as well. So he taught me to throw properly, and he actually taught me how to do repetition throwing, which is a very good exercise because it does give you fluency in throwing. So he would demonstrate one shape, and then one would have to keep on making that pot until one had perfected it.
And what's this pot going to be?
It's just going to be a bowl which I'm going to decorate around. I'm going to do decorated frieze around the top part of it, with probably chickens.
What's your best-selling designs?
I suppose it is probably the pieces where I have done decoration as birds or animals. Right, and then cut it off. Leave it to dry for a while. But I'll now show you the turning it. was actually a tremendous experience to work in a pottery of that sort of standard. And it's very good discipline, really. And much of what I was taught stayed with me. So this is a similar shaped bun, which is dried enough for me to be able to handle it, but it's still quite wet. So I'm going to turn it over and trim up the bottom of it. Or I'm going to, the correct term is turning. I was actually taught by Michael Leach that you should never turn anything, but I think if you want to get specific shapes, it's a bit unnecessary to be so dogmatic about something like that.
So is that part of the sort of aesthetic tradition that you sort of live with what you've got?
No, I did in fact, I'll show it to you at home. I did a tiny bowl with a tiny foot, which was not turned at all. But as I say, it's kind of one of those things that's sort of a bit unnecessary to be so, what's the word?
Pedantic? Picky?
Yeah, and this would be okay, but with earthenware, with the majolica, because it is basically, fairly low fired and has certain sort of retains being slightly porous, you have to kind of glaze over as much as you can, so really you're obliged to have foot rings and things like that. So I've done, when I turned it, I've done a groove here and down there, and then I'll show you, that's to prepare it to paint the slip on, ready to decorate it. Following my time at Yelland, I was very fortunate to get a place on a course at Farnham at the West Surrey College of Art, on the pottery course that was run by Henry Hammond. He was a great influence on me because he was very keen on drawing, which is something that is very important to me. And he really followed the Leach ethos. But in a way he sort of broadened it out so that students had to look at a whole variety of different ceramics. And I suppose one was encouraged to find an individual voice, but retain the standards and the essence of what Leach was talking about.